Back on Inside Tennessee on this Sunday morning, and you're looking at what may be called the sizzle question of the Beacon poll. There were a lot of questions on this poll, again, available at their site or ours, but you can see this one ties into the Bud Light controversy and just how many people in Tennessee bought into the fact that they were going to boycott that product. When you look at these numbers, Mark, what stands out to you?
Well, the first thing that stands out is that I was wrong about what a lot of these results would say. This is about the one I was correct on. Where about 20 to 25% of the population who drank Bud Light previously has stopped doing so. It matches up with kind of the numbers of their loss. It's not some conservatives would hope it was 50, 60%. Some Democrats would say, I think it's only 5%. But it's a sizable number here of people who've done that. And we made sure to ask this question in a good way, where we made sure they drank Bud Light beforehand. Because if not, you might have conservatives who never drank Bud Light but want to make the point that they want to boycott even though they don't drink it. So these are actual people who have stopped drinking the beer.
Let's follow up with TikTok, too. I'm glad that you asked this question. It was an interesting one. It came up this year earlier in the legislature with some lawmakers wanting to sort of ban any kind of access to TikTok, which, of course, as we know, is owned by a company which is based in China. Can you talk a little bit about what you see here? It's very clear that when you ask the question of whether there ought to be blockage to it, the majority across the state said, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it turns out there's a lot more bipartisan support than we see maybe in the news. And this was something that was, across every single demographic, people wanted to ban TikTok. It was strongest among Republicans. You have a plus 40% among Republicans, but Democrats and independents were both double digits in favor of banning TikTok. So, there's these issues that they might seem like on the national scale that we see a lot of fighting, but there is actually a lot of agreement among Tennesseans, especially with the social media app TikTok.
I was just going to follow up and say I'm a big fan, and you've done this, and I appreciate splitting it into the grand divisions so that we've got some representations across sort of the big fat three zones of Tennessee. And it just was interesting that Middle Tennessee sort of had the strongest, oh yeah, that's a good idea, do it.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. And some of these factors, you look at these numbers, you said, well, I wonder why it's so strong here. Like we talked about the Justin Jones, Justin Pearson issue. In West Tennessee, almost nobody thought they should have been expelled. And that's where Justin Pearson's from. But it really is interesting seeing that, even though we're one state, there's a lot of differences. And there's difference in everything. Republicans in East Tennessee might not be as, they might be further right than Republicans in the rest of the state. And the same thing where Democrats in West Tennessee might be further left than the rest of the state. So it really is interesting to see kind of where these people are at, because demographics and geography matters a lot in terms of what people actually think.
You asked a divisive question about the Trump indictment. Let's move to that quickly so we can get your thoughts on that. We'll put up the numbers, and Mark, as we do, what stood out to you with these numbers?
Well, the 43% of people who approved of the Trump indictment really stood out. Again, this is a big Republican state. It's Trump plus 21, and it's really interesting that nearly a fifth of Trump voters in 2020 believe that he should, in fact, be indicted, which is really a shocking number on the face of it. And kind of when you look into it a little bit, it's a lot of people who voted for him in 2020. They chose somebody else in the primary, but then ultimately they decided, even though I think he should be indicted, if he goes up against Biden head-to-head, I would still vote for him.
Only about a minute left, Mark, but what is your biggest surprise out of this poll? You mentioned that you were wrong about some things. What stood out to you the most overall?
I think the Trump indictment number was really shocking. I was very surprised, again, with the Trump plus 21 number. And I really think the consistent, polling for educational choice was a lot higher than I thought it'd be. I assumed it'd be high, but it was 4 separate educational questions, all worded differently, all that we think were very fairly worded. But every single one of them came out where people really want educational choice in the state, or at minimum, not happy with the current K-12 public school system.
And real quick, Mark, will you remind us, when's the next poll come out, and can you give us kind of a teaser of what we might look for?
Yeah, it'll be in October. We're going to be asking a lot of questions about healthcare here in Tennessee. And we also have a really fun question that I think will appeal to your audience the most about some college fan bases outside of the UT fan base and kind of what Tennessee voters think about them.
Mark Cunningham with the Beacon Center, based in Nashville, a nonpartisan nonprofit, with the new statewide poll, and more to come. Mark, Appreciate the conversation. We look forward to having you back in the fall. Have a great rest of your Sunday. And as we close, we appreciate all of you for watching. Again, we had a little technical glitch in the middle of this broadcast, so the comments from Don and Eddie were lost in the ether. But again, we appreciate their time. Mark, always good to see you. You can catch all of our Inside Tennessee's right now at WBIR.com. We hope you have a great rest of your weekend.